Hello, everybody, and welcome to the CapCity Presents Low Profile Podcast. This is a crossover episode.
Yeah, my first.
Welcome to the team. I'll be Steve Urkel, and you can be the cast of Full House, and let's do this.
You know, I went to a taping of Full House twice when I was a kid.
Okay, dope.
Yeah. This is Mark Lee, by the way. Hi, Andy.
Hey, what's up? This is Andy Remix Moreno, and on my show, I guess, we have Mark Lee Morrison, and on Mark Lee Morrison's show,
we have Andy Remix Moreno.
Welcome to Low Profile.
And Andy hosts a great show called CapCity Presents. If you're subscribing to his show, you already know that. I think we got this. I think people know what's going on.
I think so. Yep.
Okay.
So I want to get started with this. For my listeners, I want you to specifically, in your own words, describe what your podcast is.
So I came up with a little bit of words for that I put on my website recently. It's a lovingly produced program, rich in music and conversation and storytelling, focusing on heroes of an alternate music history.
Cool. And would you say that it's more focused on discovering in depth more about obscure musicians? Is that a better way to put it?
I think so. Yeah, that's probably a better way to put it.
Okay.
Yeah, I try to find out about these musicians that, for the most part, I don't really know anything about because there's not very much out there about them. So tracking down some of these like kind of cult heroes, record nerds, love these weird albums that nobody knows anything about. I try to can't hunt these people down and get everything I can out of them.
And what inspired you to go all out and do a podcast about this specifically?
Well, the idea to do the podcast kind of came from listening to another podcast. I was really into the show Cocaine and Rhinestones. Mm-hmm. That's sort of a history of country music in the 20th century. And I was really hoping that they were going to talk about Pete Drake, who was sort of the pioneer of the talk box in late 50s, early 60s country music.
Yeah, see, I did not know that it originated in country, because when I think of talk box, I think of Zapp, and I think of Peter Frampton.
Right.
Immediately.
Yeah, Frampton got his talk box from Pete Drake.
Dope. Okay.
And Joe Walsh too. Either from Pete Drake or the guy who built it for Pete Drake. And then the first thing though was actually used in big band music. There was a guy who had sort of a prototype of a vocoder and would sing the orchestra through his mouth.
Tight.
Pretty dope. But yeah, anyway, I didn't know that. I found that out. I was doing all this research. I'm like, well, shit, this guy's not putting it on his show. I'm going to make a show. Mm-hmm. Just an episode, just for fun. And then...
then you got hooked, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, I did. Although that one took me 3 months because I was trying to make it sound kind of like Radiolab, but about weird music.
Yeah.
And I had decided after spending 3 months on one episode that wasn't the ideal format for me. So it became more of a more or less traditional talk show.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah.
And your show is on KEOS 89.3, correct?
Yeah, here in Olympia. That's a new thing. So they're playing archived episodes. So I never even know which one they're going to play.
Oh, okay. Sweet.
So I just tune in to see which one they chose.
Nice.
But yeah, that's really fun and really exciting.
How did that come about?
I was in a program doing audio journalism this past summer, 2020, and doing a daily news program. Mm-hmm. And I did that for a little over a month and got sort of more familiar with the manager of Chaos, John Hamilton. Mm-hmm. And I just asked him, and he said, I don't know, I'll check it out. And eventually he got back to me and said, yeah, he wanted to put it on the air.
Dope.
So yeah, Sweet. Here we are. And your show kind of came about, as far as I can tell, it sort of came about because you're a promoter,
Correct.
among other things,
Mm-hmm.
and you were booking for several venues in the area,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden your schedule was nothing but holes for some reason.
I wonder.
And so there were no more shows.
Right.
And so you started kind of talking about it.
So what's funny is I've heard so many people throughout the past like however many years that podcasts have been popular say like I'm thinking of starting a podcast about, and then I hear them say it multiple times but they never do anything about it. Me on the other hand, I've never once thought to myself I should start a podcast. It was the idea of I've said his name a million times on here, Sage Rakoski. What up, Sage? But he kept saying, hey, you should do this, and then finally, as a result of no shows happening because of COVID and all that, I thought, well, this is probably the next best thing, so let's do it.
Yeah, and it's great because you get like to hear about this a lot of the other side of the music machine.
Right.
Like I mostly talk to the people that make the music. You do that, but you also talk to the people that bring the music to people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, rather than people showing up to a concert and then seeing like their live performance, you actually get to know them personally through my show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's really cool stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's just something special, and like especially in the position that I'm in, like like why make it all about business? Like, don't get me wrong, it is a business, like there is the business side of things, but like ever since the whole shutdown, and every musician and every booking agent I know has sort of been coming to this realization of, oh, we're actually all like people. Like, let's stop talking deals. Like, how are you doing? It's become very personal with me and a lot of other people in the business.
And you think you might keep doing this sort of thing after things calm down with virus and everything?
I think so. I probably won't make it like a weekly thing like I have been doing, but especially if I'm gonna book a band that's coming all the way from I don't know Florida or wherever, or Australia. Like I booked bands from all over the world. Germany, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, especially. Shout out all my Canadian friends. I love you. But yeah, I mean, if they're gonna mob all the way to Olympia, why not? Give them a 30-minute interview, just something to put on Spotify.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
CapCity presents as the brand.
Correct.
So yeah. It's all tied together.
Yeah, I've already got followers, so I figured like I see so many promoters that are just like sad or just like not doing anything, and I think to myself like there's so much more to be done. There's so much that can be done because you can't get back time. Like why not utilize this time to do something lucrative or positive?
It's just great to hear their side of the story too, and we can all learn a lot from each other.
Amen.
So it's a good thing that you've been doing.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And likewise, because like honestly, this is a perfect segue. Because honestly, I wouldn't have known about Swamp Dog or Klaus Nomi if it weren't for you. Because I was listening to the show and I was just like, holy shit, this is like really good. Like especially like Klaus Nomi, like I didn't know music like that could exist, let alone did exist, like as far back as the 70s.
Yeah, man. Klaus Nomi just totally blew my mind. We actually might be talking to one of his bandmates sometime in the future. Sweet. Made some kind of a connection. So through one of the guest hosts I have coming up on the next season. Mm-hmm. His name's Jack Habegger, and he's already recorded an episode. You probably know Jack.
Pigtails?
Yes,
yeah. Shout out Jack. What up, dude?
Pigtails are a great local rock and roll band.
Mm-hmm.
Classic rock, if you will. For people our age.
Yeah, right. For them being so young.
Yeah. Jack's recorded an interview for season 4, which I'm taking a big step back from season 4. Because we got a baby coming any day now.
Congrats.
Yeah, man. We're excited. A little boy bun in the oven.
Nice.
So might be here by the time this comes out.
Heck yeah. Welcome to the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so who are your guest hosts going to be, or have you like established that yet?
Yeah, I think I can say it, and I don't know if everything is going to pan out yet because a lot of it is just pending, but and I won't say who the guests are, but
For sure.
as far as hosts go who are working on things, so we've already talked about Jack, local musician, cartoonist, and good journalist as well. And then my friend and longtime Lake bandmate Eli Moore, he's actually been on my show as a co-host. So he's really, I'm excited about his work because he's never interviewed anyone by himself.
Nice.
Being a co-host on my show was the closest he's come to doing that.
For sure.
And that was more just friends hanging out, talking about music. Carl Blau, who's a Northwest heavy hitter, home recording guru.
Nice.
Tons and tons of albums. He's actually living in Philadelphia now, but he's from Anacortes.
Oh, okay.
And so he's actually focusing on some artists in his neighborhood. And then I've also got a local journalist, Rob Smith, audio journalist. He does a show called Welcome to Olympia that is sort of like a This American Lifestyle podcast, but just about Olympia. And he's interviewing a seasoned veteran artist who happens to live in Olympia. And then, there's some other people that have said that they're going to try to submit something. And I only ask people I trust.
For sure.
With, this is my other baby.
Yeah, this is, I was just about to say that. This is your baby. Like, this is your show. Like, of course. Because to be quite honest, I was a little bummed because you had hit me up and you were like, hey, do you want to be on the show? And I thought, ooh, are we going to talk about like obscure hip hop? Because that's my shit personally. But then you were like, I just want to kind of talk to you about the podcast. And I was like, okay.
Oh, no, we're going to do another one.
Oh,
for sure.
All right, sweet.
Yeah.
You heard that here first.
We'll interview someone.
All right, sweet.
Yeah.
I've got a few people in mind, and I've even asked like my roommates, and I was like, hey, what are like your favorite obscure rappers? And they like told me, and I'm like, yes.
Nice.
So I've got a few. I've got the wheels turning in my brain.
What are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about Akinyele. I don't know if you know who that is.
I don't.
Okay, New York rapper. He released his first album back in '92 with Large Professor. It was called Vagina Diner, and he just never got that commercial success that I felt that he deserved. I was also thinking about MF Doom just passed away. R.I.P.
Oh yeah.
I feel like anybody who doesn't know, like, I work with a lot of, I'll call them kids because they're between the ages of 21 and 24, and all of them were like, no, we've never even heard of MF Doom, and I'm like, yo, when I was 17, everything he did blew my mind.
Oh yeah, and you don't have to be 17 either. That stuff still works.
Yeah, exactly. No, I like the day he died. My buddy David, shout out David. He messaged me. He said like, yo, you were the first person I thought of when I read this news. And I'm just like, shit, dude. And I was driving all the way to Long Beach, Washington, so I just put on everything Doom, and I just listened to Doom that entire weekend, and rung in the new year to it.
Yeah, man, that hit hard.
Just didn't see it coming. And the fact that he died on Halloween and it wasn't even revealed until New Year's, like, this is if you know anything about MF Doom, to all the listeners out there, he's a villain. Like, he portrays a villain in his music. So it wouldn't surprise me if he told his wife, don't tell the world that I'm dead until New Year's,
Yeah, totally. Or, maybe save 2020 one more hit.
Yeah, right.
So 2020 was worse than we thought.
Right, exactly.
but he kept us in the dark about it.
I know I laugh, but R.I.P. Doom, and I really wish I could have met you, and I'm honored to have the privilege to be able to say that I've worked with two rappers that have collaborated on songs with Doom.
Oh man, that's great.
Yeah.
And you're a rapper yourself, if I'm not mistaken.
I used to rap. I don't, like, the thing is after about like 4 years of promotion, I just sort of thought to myself, like, I have more fun in discovering new music and, putting on the shows rather than making it. So, I still have fun with it, but I don't consider myself to be a performer anymore.
Well, you definitely got a bit of rap in your intro.
Oh, thanks.
It feels like, yeah, I really like the intro to your show.
Thank you. Actually, you know what? I'm glad that you mentioned that because I've never actually said it. I keep thinking about it before shows, but I've never actually said shout out Zach Harms for making the intro beat.
Oh yeah.
So if you've ever heard the intro beat, or like at the beginning of this episode, likely you're gonna hear it. So shout out Zach Harms.
Way to go, Zach.
Do you listen to much hip hop?
I just I'm catching up. I just bought the Fugees' The Score today.
Word.
They had it on wax at Target.
Weird.
One copy. And I said to my daughter, Camille, I'm like, go grab me that record with the 3 faces on it. No, I love hip hop. I'd say I realized I loved hip hop when I was probably like 15 or 16. I thought that up until that point, I hadn't really been paying much attention to it. And I thought, oh, that's like the cheesy music that was in every toy and cereal commercial when I was a kid.
For sure.
And I always thought that, every song was going to start with, my name is so-and-so, I'm here to say.
For sure.
Yeah. And then, I started kind of getting into, I always like to dig back. So like, I think I got like a Sugar Hill tape.
Okay.
I got some Run DMC tapes.
For sure.
I got like, I think the first Beasties record I had was Ill Communication, which was jam packed with like, you had like Fife on there.
Nice.
Q-Tip.
Sweet.
And then there was like some random punk rock songs.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, cool, all over the place. And that got me into like Tribe and Jungle
sure.
Brothers, De La.
Yep, De La.
So like, like kind of the boom bap era.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So like for modern stuff, I always gravitate toward like the weird, like I'm crazy about Shabazz Palaces.
Okay, yep.
And stuff that's like kind of spaced out like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, like clipping.
I was like you said Shabazz Palaces, and I immediately thought clipping, and yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I didn't realize, dude was the same guy who was in that Hamilton jazz.
Right.
Yeah. I was like, oh, this guy. Like I it didn't occur to me, and then I saw him on this new show, Snowpiercer.
Okay, I'm not familiar.
And I didn't I recognized him by his voice.
I'm like,
word. That's fucking dude from Clipping. It has to be.
Tight.
It was. So, yeah. And have you heard of Toby and Wigway?
I don't believe so.
I guess he's like an ex-NFL guy from Texas.
Okay.
Who started making this like real jazzy and like kind of minimalist hip hop. Like a lot of his songs are just music and there's barely a beat. Like maybe just a snap.
Okay, cool.
And like heavy on background vocals and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know what you got. I need to catch up on a lot of the local stuff. You had Afrock on your show, and I was checking out his tunes.
Dude, Afrock has been a beast. Ever since I even long before I started like promoting shows, like he was performing at a lot of the shows that I was just attending. There was also E Mills, there was Zicky, Ill Defined, who went by Bones at the time. Of course, Afrock, and Afrock was in a band, Afrock in the Movement. You can't forget about AKA and the Heart Hurt Goods. I mean, that band was, they should have gone places. And, who else out there? Puget is a rapper who I believe, as far as like Olympia rappers go, made the best rap album here in Olympia.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I used to live on that street.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. Yeah, because he would say like throw it up now. It's that Puget sound, and
oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah, he had an album called Music Is the Key. Actually, if anybody's listening out there, and if y'all could like burn me a copy of that, I'd appreciate it.
Oh, we got to track that down.
Mm-hmm. I know he owns Cutter's barbershop downtown. He Cutter is.
Oh, he's the Cutter.
Yes.
Oh, well, that won't be too hard.
Yeah. So Cutter, give me a copy of that, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll go get a haircut.
Yes.
All right.
Were you using a Kazaa, Napster, LimeWire back in the day?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, no. If anybody important's listening,
Right, exactly.
but yeah, no, and
Me neither. Wink, wink.
I did, and I use streaming stuff, and I use YouTube to like but I use it to check out music. Like I'm a record getter. I don't want to say collector because I don't like be like this is going to be worth money. I like buy records that I want to listen to
for sure
because I like to have them around.
Definitely, it's nice to have a physical copy and to hear it how it's supposed to sound.
But I mean, a lot of the records I bought, I probably wouldn't have bought if I hadn't had a chance to like be like, oh, it has this song on here that does this thing. Like, okay, yeah. So,
do you consider yourself to be a crate digger?
You know, I'm not obsessive. I usually, if I'm doing a crate digging thing, then I'll usually have a short list in mind. Like I'm only buying one of these 3 things.
Oh, okay. All right.
Or like maybe I'll set a budget for those things, and then like I'll look around and see what's like $1 to $5, you know.
For sure.
Yeah. But I kind of got rid of like 2,000 records this summer. I just set up a yard sale in my front yard one day. Put up signs the night before, and I got rid of so many. And what I did was I got rid of pretty much any record where I didn't really listen to the whole album.
Okay.
Yeah. Mostly just because of space, and I thought maybe somebody out there does want to listen to the whole album. So I sold everything for $1, except for this box that had like 30 records, and I thought these ones are too good to sell. These are $5 records.
For sure.
So I had this like tiny boutique section. It was fun to be on the other side of that.
And are there any specific genres that you lean to, or are you one of those? Do you just like specifically? Do you go? I guess what is your process when you're looking for records?
Man, you know, I'll pull from like any section really. I love you know, like experimental electronic music. I like multiple eras of jazz, country, pretty much anything that came out on vinyl in country music. I'm into something from that era.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't get too into blues. I have blues that I like, but I'm not. I don't know. Those are usually more expensive anyway, because those are the ones that the collectors go for.
For sure.
Yeah, and if I see any like '90s hip hop on vinyl, I'm all about it. Like, okay, yeah, you're coming home. Yeah, reggae. Love some reggae, sure. Punk rock. I don't know. Yeah,
sure.
I think you get the idea.
Yeah, no, I feel it.
I'm all about whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, see, you said that you weren't too into blues, and like I immediately think to myself, like I usually go towards the rhythm and blues section is usually like my first go-to.
Well, like R&B?
Like we're talking like not like modern R&B, I guess, where it's like a hip hop beat and people singing. I'm thinking of like, you know, Marvin Gaye, Curtis Mayfield, Smokey Robinson, you know, the classics, obviously. And
oh yeah, yeah, all about that stuff too. You know, George McRae did like "Rocky Baby."
Wait, George McRae, like
I Get Lifted.
Yeah, I Get Lifted. Thank you.
Yeah.
See, I'm a sucker for samples. Like
that's one of my favorite LPs I found.
Nice.
Like I've had that one since I was probably a teenager.
Tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a show called Wax Only on YouTube where Vin Rican is his name. He's the DJ, and he'll play the rap song, and then he'll play the original that it was sampled from, and it's all vinyl. And it's so sick. And he'll do it like, you know, themed by album. So he'll do like the Doggy Style album or All Eyes on Me by Tupac or, you know, the Warren G album or.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I nerd out when it comes to sampling like that. So I'm guilty of buying a Phil Collins album just to hear that one song that some producer took 5 seconds off of it for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the going back to the Talkbox Pete Drake episode, I just thought it'd be really cool to have a show that played some like old country with Talkbox and play some Zapp and Roger in there too.
Hell yeah. Why are we separating the genres? Like, it's all music it's all rock and roll at the end of the day, man.
Yeah, man.
I don't remember who told me that. I feel like it was just somebody on the street randomly told me it's all rock and roll, man. And I was like, amen, brother.
That sounds like a dude on the street.
Yeah.
Like wisdom.
Yeah. So, doing a little research about you, so you moved here from the Mojave Desert. Did you move here specifically just to join Lake?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And then did that for at least 10 years, about 10 years.
And when did you move here?
In 2006.
2006, okay.
Yeah. August 2nd, 2006.
Tight.
Played a show in the basement of the Eagles Hall that night.
Tight.
Yeah. I had a boombox, a Rapmaster keyboard, and a like one of those like robot voice changer megaphones. Yeah. And that was about it. Oh, a tambourine too. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, my little vaudeville act that I'm known to pull out from time to time.
So actually, speaking on the basement at the Eagles Hall, because I remember going there as like a 17 or 18-year-old. What venues were popping when you first moved here?
When I first came to town, I think that was the only show I went to the Eagles Hall basement for, like in the first like year or so, and it was all about these specific house shows. Mm-hmm. Voyeur was going on, Lavoyeur downtown, where we both used to do some work.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. And so I moved into Chez Puget on Puget Street that had frequent shows in their basement. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we'd have multiple shows in a week. There was the Lucky Seven House, which is now, it was torn down and is now a dog hospital.
I did not know that was an old house venue.
Yeah.
All right. Wow.
It shows in their basement too.
Tight.
And then there was, they called it the Glass House because it was on Glass Street.
Oh, okay.
And then 1611, which is the address of a house that still does shows. I'm not going to give out a street address by saying what street it is, but
we'll talk about that off.
That was happening. That's been probably happening for like 20 years, I guess. Mm. I think Chez Puget has been doing shows like since the 1990s.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, it was just like, okay, houses are the punk venues here.
Right.
So that's where I went.
Tight.
Yeah. There was a couple more. Ben Moore's was doing shows back then.
Right. Okay.
Ben Moore's was man, that place was just frozen in time.
Right.
I don't know. It was kind of like Cheers, but classier.
Right. I mean, it's so a rumor that I've heard is that it's based off of Moe's, Moe's is based off of it from The Simpsons.
Yeah,
I've heard that.
I've heard that.
It's funny because my little brother actually worked at Ben Moore's, and I would hear him that was like his small talk to everybody. It was just always, oh, did you know that Moe's was based off of this bar? And people were always like, whoa. Actually, are there any favorite venues like currently in Olympia?
Well, the last time I went to a show,
was it with the blank tapes?
I think that was the last show I played.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was at that show.
Yeah, that was a while back, huh?
That was back in February, I want to say. Like
February
2020.
That seems like so long ago.
I know, dude.
I mean, it is almost a year, but it seems like even longer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, That might have very well been the last show I saw. The next one I can think of that I went to was in Tacoma at Alma Mater.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, but yeah, I really liked Octopus.
Mm-hmm.
They did some. They had like good sound there, and used to be called Manium.
Oh,
the Cryptotropa.
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of good ones there.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And, I've gotten the opportunity to play there a few times as well. It's probably one of my favorite spots to go see a loud show.
Definitely.
Yeah.
No, I feel it. Yeah, between the Crypt and McCoy's, like, you can't really go wrong.
Oh, McCoy's is classic.
Dude.
You ever work for McCoy's, or you ever put on events there? Yeah.
Yeah, no, and like, yeah, they just always go so well. And like, even at the end of the night, I won't go into these specific numbers, but the door person will be like, "Oh, we had a shitty night. Here's X amount of dollars," and I'd be like, "How did this happen? There's so much money here." It was like people were like, "Oh, there's a show tonight. I'm not gonna watch it, but here's $5."
Oh yeah, especially on a weekend.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, other than that, though, I mean, like, McCoy's just reminded me of, well, I mean, I'm born and raised in Olympia, so it reminded me of home. I walk in there, it's dirty, it's dingy, the walls are black, and I'm just like, I am home. This place is me.
Always smells like cleaning products, which is not necessarily a bad sign.
Right.
Hi, Ian. If you're
shout
listening.
Out Ian, shout out Drew. I miss McCoy's.
I do too.
I will go as soon as y'all open, just so I can sit on the patio and drink a beer again. Until next time.
Yeah, they'll be back.
Mm-hmm. With a vengeance.
Oh, yeah. Indeed. Gotta shout out the Brotherhood.
Oh, yeah, shout out Broho.
Yep.
God, what other places? You ever go to Rhythm and Ride?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's another good spot. Shout out to Andy
Quality
Gearson.
Stuff. Andy. Dear Andy. Yeah. Well, you bringing anyone in when you can? Anyone you have on hold?
As far as like booking a show?
Booking a show.
Oh man. See,
who are you going to jump on first?
Okay, so so this was back in February. I talked it over with Eric at the Pig Bar. Shout out Eric, and Katie was the old booker. Shout out Katie. She was the assistant manager for both the Pig Bar and for the Opal Lounge up in Tacoma. So she was getting tired of handling the booking on top of being a manager of 2 different restaurants.
Ooh, Katie was a boss.
Mm-hmm. Oh, is a boss.
Absolutely. Like in every sense of the word.
Right.
Yeah, Katie rules.
But so this was in February though. So I get the opportunity to become a booker there. I'm getting a check for booking specifically. And I immediately looked to September because I thought to myself, like, well, we're a college town, so summertime isn't really the best time for touring bands to come through because, we lose half our population, the weather's nice, so people go out camping, they don't want to stay in Olympia on a weekend. So I was looking at September when all the Evergreen kids were going to come in. So I was going to start advertising in the summertime, and then by September I was hopefully going to have, I was talking with Natasha Kometto's agent at the time, and we were like, running the numbers and all this, but then COVID happened, and finally I just had to be like, hey, I don't know what the future's going to hold. Can we maybe, put this off for another 2 months and then we'll talk again? And then after 2 months, I was like, it's probably not going to happen, but let's keep in contact. And yeah, so I think Natasha Kometto is going to be the first person that I want to bring down here. Linda from Work, Biblioteca, some Seattle bands that I want to bring down, Weepwave, Beverly Crusher, Astor House. There's so many good bands in Seattle in particular. And even so, I really want to expand outside of Olympia because there's McFiler's in Chehalis now.
Yeah, I've been hearing about that place.
Mm-hmm. It's an all ages venue, and they do all ages until 11, which I think is perfect for me because I'm 31 and I hate to say it, but I'm getting old, so I don't really like to stay out that late anymore. And
yeah. Oh man, those shows that go till the band stops playing at 2 because the staff says they have to.
Right.
Those can be rough
Mm-hmm.
if you're not, a raging college maniac.
Right. No, it wasn't even until I was 30 too, or like, when I turned 30, people were like, "Oh, it's all downhill from here," and I was like, "No, I'm still gonna party hard." And I don't know, about age 30 and a half, I was like, "Yo, I can't stay out till 1 anymore." Like, I think 1 o'clock is like that's where I draw the line.
Yeah, totally.
This is up in the air, but I did get contacted by a venue in Stanwood, if you know where that is.
I don't.
Okay, it's up by Marysville. I actually had to look it up too. Like,
okay.
Yeah, my buddy hit me up and was like, "Hey, my mom just bought this bar, and they have a stage there, and I want to throw shows there, and it's in Stanwood." And I was like, I'd never even heard of this place.
Wow, what a challenge! That sounds good.
Mm-hmm. But the thing is like, I've thrown shows in Chehalis and in Yelm, and the thing about those shows in particular is people there are hungry for live music.
Yeah.
So.
No, you can be the king of Stanville.
Yeah,
just like that. Stanwood.
It's that
you could change the name if you want.
Oh my god, yes. If I were, they'd be like CapCityville.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, one of my New Year's resolutions is to have a landmark named after me. I kind of want a Cap City Creek, or even a slough or slough. How do you pronounce that?
Slough?
Slough? Okay, it's either slough or slough.
Slough.
I thought maybe.
Wait, what are we describing here?
Like a swamp. Like, have you ever driven up and down like the 101 and you see like it says like this slough, and I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
I don't.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
It's kind of like it's kind of like when you're on the freeway and it'll say like like Snake Creek coming up, or like Chehalis River, but like
how's it spelled? Like
Slough.
Okay, maybe I just never heard anybody say it before.
Yeah,
because I think it's Slough.
Okay.
But I can't really name a time I've heard anyone say that.
Right, yeah. Nobody talks about them, and I wonder to myself, like, who actually took the time and effort to name these things? They're swamps. They're just, like, bodies of water that nobody would ever be interested in looking at.
Yeah, they called dibs, and they got to give it a name.
Right.
I miss those days. You remember those days?
Oh, back in my day. Or it's kind of like I came across a crooked river once, or Crooked Creek is what it was called, and I just decided to Google it, and there's like 10 crooked creeks in Washington. Can I just have one and call it Cap City Creek?
Yeah, you gotta pick one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. At least put up a sign. Maybe someone will leave it there long enough. It's like how language works,
Right.
People say it enough. It's a word.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know if it's the law, but
if it pops up on Google Maps, then I will die happy.
Okay. Well, you heard it here, folks. So start calling it that.
Yes. One of
Cap City
Creek. One of the crooked creeks, or all the crooked creeks. I don't know. Like, why would you name a creek Crooked Creek? Why? You could find something else to name it after. I don't know. We're in Washington. Nirvana Creek. I don't know.
Yeah. George Creek.
Yeah.
I think I'll call it George.
Shout out George, whoever you are.
Yeah. We love you, George. Mm-hmm. So has it been cathartic doing a podcast?
It's, it has its moments. It's definitely not what I'm used to, because I'm not used to being behind the microphone, but it is nice to keep myself busy, because when I was booking, like I've always worked a full-time job, but then I get on my breaks and I'm like, okay, I have a 10-minute break. I have to email this person, email this person, email this person, twiddling my thumbs, and then boom, I get back to my day job. And it wasn't until, 2020, I was like, okay, if I do this enough, and if I work for specifically, 4 or 5 different venues, I could just make this a full-time job. I could just stay at home, sit on my laptop, knock out all these shows. On top of that, I could also be a booking agent for other bands and, book shows in Seattle and Bellingham and Portland, Astoria, Yelm, Chehalis, wherever. And yeah, I had a game plan, but as far as the podcast goes, it's a nice self-reflection, I guess. It's good to actually use my words, like my vocal cords, as opposed to using my thumbs to type words. And
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like I've learned so much, as far as booking goes, I've discovered so much more new music that I would never have discovered otherwise. And then now I'm actually like digging into the people who make that music I wouldn't know otherwise and learning things from them. So it's definitely it's new, it's scary, and it's everything that I love new and scary, I guess. Like I feed
Yeah,
off of anxiety. I always used to tell people like anxiety reminds me that I'm alive. So yeah.
totally, man. Like when anytime I've been about to play a show, even if it's just a handful of people, I always get nervous.
Mm-hmm.
I get nervous before I tape interviews most of the time.
Same.
Phone call, especially if I have never really talked to them before, like like someone like Cleaners from Venus, um, band from England that's been around since like the early '80s. Um, love their stuff, and just had an email back and forth like, yeah, give me a call. Here's my number. We'll chat as long as you need to. And I had my buddies with me. Actually, I think that was part of the reason why I had a group hosting the show with me early on in the first season. Also, because it was just fun to hang out with friends while you're making something,
For sure.
or turning hanging out with friends into something. But yeah, I got so nervous before that interview. I was just like, I just need to pace around for a few minutes, and but it feels good. It's
Mm-hmm.
like it's the excitement,
Exactly. Yeah, it's a rush.
butterflies.
Do you ever get starstruck interviewing the people that you interview?
You know, um, I think I kind of went in that way with Gary Wilson when I was interviewing him. You know Gary?
I don't know Gary Wilson.
Yeah. You probably dig his shit because he's on Stone's Throw,
Oh,
some of
okay.
his stuff. So
Dope.
I think Peanut Butter Wolf
Mm-hmm.
kind of signed him afterwards. I guess Chaos was the first station that actually played his records.
Mm-hmm.
He's from upstate New York. Like Gary Wilson, the singer, is just so like really smooth and super weird and glamorous, I guess, and desperately sad. And talking to the man was just so casual and laid back,
Mm-hmm.
that I actually got to kind of joke around with him some. But I went into it totally like, I don't know what I'm going to say to this guy.
Right.
You five other people, what should we ask him? like right before, like while we were taping, I think that's actually part of the original episode, because we're discussing the questions after we like talk about our mutual appreciation of Gary's music.
Tight.
And we're like, okay, so what are we gonna ask? Well, I've talked to so many artists now that I've been a fan of, like since I was a kid, basically.
Right.
And there's just I've had all this time to think about like what do I want to know about these people?
Right.
And so honestly, a lot of the time I just kind of wish we had more time.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even that has happened to me as far as like booking goes, because like, well, as well as I do, like obscure music, it's sort of a lot more personal when you can say like, oh, I remember having this album, and none of my friends had this album, and all that, and it's like when I booked Afu Ra here in Olympia, I I was giddy. I was like, holy shit, you're coming to Olympia, like 16-year-old me was downloading your shit on like Napster and LimeWire, and I remember like. I did buy one of his albums, State of the Arts, and I remember Royce the 5'9", he's one of my favorite rappers, him being on MTV on one of his songs, he goes, and I ain't gotta know karate like Afu Ra, and I was like, oh my god, like, people know who this guy is, and he performed at Lavoyer, and it was just super weird just to like, smoke cigarettes with him out back of Lavoyer, and just be like, this is crazy, this is happening right now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really cool to like be able to, with these people who you only know as their art,
Right.
like that's all you know, and then finding out that they're real people, and often not who you thought they were.
Right.
Just because people take on different identities when they're creating.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about approaching your guests?
What I like to do is I usually like to write down a list of questions as sort of like a, I have 5 questions for you, but they're all dissected in little ways. So, it like just started out, I guess the easiest way to go about like starting a conversation is just to ask like, what have you been doing to keep yourself busy? Or, put yourself, like picture yourself 1 year ago today. What did you think that the outcome of 2020 was going to be before you knew the coronavirus was going to destroy all of our lives. It's like back when I was you had mentioned when I was a rapper, the easiest way to start a rap verse is just to write a sentence, like literally everything. Like, I walked to the store today. I don't know, like that's a bad example, obviously, but
But that's real.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same approach where, I come in here and I ask, what's your favorite vegetable? And then, you can, you can either say, one word, or you could explain to me that cucumbers are the best vegetable, because that's what I would say, at least.
Yeah. Because you can do so many different things with them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're
portable. And
they're portable and they quench your thirst.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that is
they're an easy snack on the,
Mm-hmm.
I've been going on hikes, for the past like year, since, I can't do shows, and I'm like, I don't know, like I've sort of like looked all over the Washington map because I'm an agent, so I like try to figure out where there are, places to book bands, but then now I'm actually like, oh, maybe I'll take a drive out to Long Beach, Washington, or maybe I'll take a drive out to Centralia and check out their parks or whatever, and Longview, Yakima. I did a lot of driving over the past year.
Yeah, sometimes my family will just go on a drive just because. Pick some arbitrary destination.
Exactly. I love it.
Like we'll just drive for hours just to like do this one thing that we don't even really like need to do. We're like,
right.
Well, she'll like, like, oh, there's this little bookshelf that looks cool. It's for sale up in where was it? We went up like up the peninsula one day.
Yeah.
Just to buy this little shelf. Because like, oh, $10, that looks pretty good.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's so nice to just kind of take in the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing that goes better with that than just like you slice up a cucumber, a little bit of apple cider vinegar,
okay,
splash of olive oil, and a little sea salt. And you just shake that up, let it sit for 5 minutes, dude, and you got like,
you can do that with radishes too, and radishes.
Mm-hmm. Whoa, hang on.
Okay, so I'm actually I'm half German, so like what I'm actually thinking to myself is like pickled anything.
Oh, like, pickled radish. That's a whole nother story.
I mean, you could do it with cucumbers, obviously pickles. Radishes. What's garlic cloves. Yeah, I'm a sucker for pickled things. Have you ever tried pickled watermelon?
I never have had a chance to.
Dude, if you ever get the chance,
I
recommend it. You heard it here first. Is this a podcast? Is this a food podcast or?
Wait, is this an episode of Have You Tried That Pickle?
Oh dear Lord. I like it.
What are the ones that are purple that come in the shawarma? Because I thought they were beets, but I think they're turnips in beet juice or something.
I'm not familiar.
They called them lavender pickles at this one falafel joint.
This is
down in the Mojave Desert.
Okay.
It was a falafel joint that also sold pupusas because we had a couple from 2 different countries.
Mm-hmm.
And man, it was great. You could go get like beans and rice and belly dancing all at the same time.
Dude.
Turkish coffee. Just throw that in there.
Nice.
But lavender pickles? So you haven't tried that pickle?
I have not tried that pickle.
All right.
So yeah.
Good episode.
Yes, indeed. All right. We're going to interview Akinelli while eating lavender pickles. We're nearing the end of the interview, but I do want to know, like, how do you find or like define obscure music, or like what do you look for when you're trying to make an episode? What is your main goal when you make an episode?
I'd like to find things that So it's a mixed bag. There's the side of me that just wants to know more about these artists that specifically I had a really cool, like really meaningful experience with their music. And that music has been haunting me forever and I know nothing about it.
For
so
sure.
A lot of it is just like my own passion project because I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, I want to keep the show going. And there's a lot of other music out there where I think it's great. A lot of my friends think it's great. But I bet if I ask 10 people, 9 or 10 of them probably don't know what I'm talking about. And so I try to get those out there. They're like, hey, everybody, this is cool. Just give it a chance. And more often than not, it's artists that have a pretty sizable body of work behind them.
For sure.
So, like legacy artists, like say Swamp Dogg and the Holy Modal Rounders, who've been at it since like the 50s, 60s. Also, bands that have started in the last 10 years. I don't rule out. But I'm probably not. I don't think I would have a band on that just put out their first album.
For sure.
Just because I want to hear some stories.
I feel it.
And like experience, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if the band has had a chance to marinate for a while, and I still don't hear people talking about them, then I want to have a chance to talk about them and talk to them if possible.
For sure.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Do everything in your power to keep them relevant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just share the love.
For sure.
That's kind of the main idea.
Mm-hmm. Tight. Do you have any guilty pleasures in music? I know pop music gets like a bad rep, but is there anything like, like, I don't know about you, but from time to time I'll, turn on the top 40 radio and turn all the windows up.
Oh, sure. Yeah, well, I will often turn on the radio, and most of the time I don't know what any of it is, but I'll let it go. I'll let it play. Mm-hmm. And, I feel like I try to keep a pretty open mind. So, yeah, there's probably a lot of pretty bad music that I like. I know that, I don't know if I can say it, but I'm a big fan of Ween. I love Ween.
For sure.
I feel like they can do anything. A lot of their stuff is a little sarcastic seeming for me. I prefer when they come off a little more sincere, but sometimes I don't. More irreverent the better.
Yeah.
So that's something that I don't listen to all the time, but I never stopped listening to after I started.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the rotation.
For sure.
Yeah, and I've been thinking about listening to some of the Christian ska bands that I liked in the mid '90s.
Okay.
But I haven't gotten there. For I had some involvement in the Christian ska scene when I was like 14, 15. Okay. I put out the first compilation of such artists.
Word. Okay.
And that was my first producer credit.
Tight. Okay.
So yeah.
God, I know nothing about the Christian ska scene.
Well, from what I remember, there were a few that had good lyrics and good songwriting.
Okay.
The majority of those bands were like, wait, there's ska bands happening. We should make Christian ska bands happen. Let's get on this bandwagon.
Hell yeah.
Take the gospel out there with us.
Word.
And so, I mean, they're all having fun. I think I've been thinking about it. I'm wondering if a couple of them might hold up.
Okay.
But I feel like that's the one dark corner that I have not taken a look back into since it was originally happening.
For sure. Okay. I am genuinely curious though. Like that's like obscure of the obscure. I would never even think. Like if I were to walk into a record store and I'd see like 90s Christian ska section, Okay.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
No, I mean, I think Light in the Attic would probably put out a '90s Christian ska compilation if I didn't do it first.
Right.
It seems like one of those reissue label things that are just like rife for that. People would just like the curiosity of it.
Right. It's kind of like how I found this tape at Goodwill, and I looked it up, and it was never released on CD, but it was called Homies for the Holidays, Rappin' Up Christmas.
Ooh.
And it was like a Christian rap album, but it was like, it was very like, Jesus was born in a manger, da, da, da. It's like type of rap, and God, I know it's in a box somewhere, but I just need to convert it and put it online because there was no
You're
credit.
Converting the Christian rappers?
Yes.
You heard it here first.
Yes, yes, you did. I'm gonna convert these rappers.
Yo, Splice, what up? That's what the Bible said. Some knucklehead wanted a baby Jesus dead. Are you serious? As a heart attack. But God said his son ain't going out like that. He sent an angel to drop a dime. Man, Joseph got away just in time. Well, why would anybody want to get my man? Because evil and injustice rule the land. But God so loved the world, he gave his only son. Now tell me what more could a parent have done? Think of the inconvenience Jesus had to suffer. Being born in a barn, it don't get no rougher. Wrapped in rags, surrounded by sheep. I think about it, that's pretty deep. I can't imagine what my life would be like if he hadn't been born that wonderful night.
No, but the thing about the tape was that, I looked online and there was no credit as to who the rappers were.
Oh man, so it's just like studio musicians and like session writers.
Yeah, and it's all like, it's like it came out in like 1990 or something, so it was all like sampled Christmas music. So it was with hip hop, like boom bap beats over it, and.
Yeah, I'd say up until I was like 12 or 13, I could count on one hand how many artists I listened to that were not specifically Christian artists.
Okay.
So the record collection at home was very like, well, we have God's version of that here.
Oh God, that's like when I had Napster and I had to download all the clean versions just in case my mom came home early from work. And, didn't want to hear Papa Roach or Linkin Park or any Brother Lynch Hung or X-Rated I was listening to. It had to be like the clean version. And
yeah, that stuff is a trip.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to the clean version of To Pimp a Butterfly, Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah,
and man, there's a lot of awkward silences there.
It's not the same. My parents bought me those clean versions though, and yeah, I'd listen to them once and be like, it's just ruined. It's just ruined.
The rhyme scheme's thrown off.
Yeah.
You gotta use your imagination.
Off. Right.
Yeah.
What drug was Eminem supposed to be saying in that lyric?
Skittles.
It's like when he said, they say I can't rap about Coke no more, and I was like, Coke? Like, I was like 12 years old, and I was like, what, he can't rap about?
Pepsi's after him.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah. I was wondering about that, and, obviously I'm naive. That was a weird one, though. Marshall Mathers LP, I got the clean version of it, and they didn't censor out the words bitch or shit.
Interesting.
I've talked to people about this, and people have said the same thing, like, yeah, I had the clean version of it, too, and yeah, it did the same thing, and I don't know why. I've never found an explanation as to why. I even looked it up on Wikipedia, and it just says, for some reason, they didn't censor the words bitch or shit. Couldn't tell you why. I do. Eminem, if you are listening to this, I would like to have you on the podcast so I can specifically just ask you that one question.
Yeah,
that's it.
I want to know too.
I just want 5 minutes of your time.
It might have been censored in Europe, like in the UK or something, where they'll, that's just PG there.
Yeah, but they took out all the drug references or the song Kill You. He actually said, dun, 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 you. Instead of kill you.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, they censored the word kill, but they did not censor bitch or shit.
Just in case I censor bitch and shit, what word should we replace those with?
Kittens and sunshine.
Kittens and Sunshine.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this has been a really fun little episode.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was good catching up with you. Good to see a fellow Olympian again because like I don't leave the house very often anymore.
I wasn't sure if they still existed.
Right, and we're here.
Yeah, here
It's
we are.
amazing. Outside of social media land.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you so much for being on my show.
And thank you for being on mine. And where can listeners follow you?
Well, it's on Low Pro Podcast on Instagram or Facebook. And then you can, there's a Twitter out there. Good luck finding that.
All right.
But lowprofilepodcast.com, just the way it's supposed to be spelled. That's got all the episodes and pictures and little stories behind it, the episodes. So if you like the show, there's more there. There's like extra stuff.
Okay, and if you're listening to my show, I will put the links in the Spotify description, also on anchor.fm. Yeah, so be sure to follow the Low Profile podcast with Mark Lee Morrison. And be sure to follow CapCity Presents on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's at CapCity Presents, also capcitypresents.com. And I will hopefully see y'all next week.
I followed him there, and I don't regret a second of it.
Likewise.
All right.
And there's so much more to learn.
Okay, well, we love you.
All right. Stay safe out there. Wash your hands. Give metaphorical hugs to all your loved ones.
See you next time on Have You Tried That Pickle?
Bye.